everybody. Welcome back to another episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host, Maxine, and we're on episode 149. Hello. Hello. I am here with you all a few days shy from my 31st birthday, and I feel so good. I really do. I think, we need to take time to just appreciate ourselves. And I hope I don't sound like a narcissist. I hope I don't sound like a self-centered person. Let me take off my cardigan. I think it's just for a lot of my early adult years, I felt inadequate. I felt inadequate, whether it was physically, whether it was in my career, whether it was in my relationships. And that's all types of relationships. That's familial relationships. That's romantic relationships. That's friendships. I just felt inadequate financially. There were so many areas in my life I just felt like I wasn't good enough. Things weren't good enough. This isn't good enough. And yet it is what it is, right? But the past year, I felt a shift in my life, in my perspective, in my mental headspace. I felt a shift. And what I mean by that is, since moving to Houston and since adulting and doing this on my own, I started off very shaky, internally very shaky. Like, I always had a full-time job. I always had stability in that sense, but mentally I didn't have that stability. I always felt like I said, inadequate. I always felt like I was just chasing something, or I just had a scarcity mindset, very much so. And I remember my first year living on my own in a new state, and just living on my own in general, because even when I was in Boston, I wasn't living on my own. I was living with my parents. And when I was in undergrad, I was living on campus because, I went to school in Connecticut, but I was living with roommates, and it's not the real world. I didn't pay rent. I wasn't like, I didn't have to have a job. Like, I was taken care of. Hello. Thank you, God, for parents. But I was taken care of. And the unfortunate thing about growing up in a Caribbean household is that Caribbean parents don't raise you up to be an adult. They really don't. And I'm like, God bless my parents. My mom and dad, they did the best. They raised me right. Don't get me wrong. I love them still to this day. They're flawed like everyone else, like myself, but they don't raise their children to be adults. They say, like, in my experience, they say, like, education is important. Education is key. If you want a good life, get an education. And they really cemented the idea of education really being the only way out, or the only way towards success. And they didn't know any other way. And I appreciate that, though, right? I do believe in education, but I think that was just a very limited skew of things. The idea of entrepreneurship, or the idea of not going to college and not getting an advanced degree, was not even an idea for me to explore. And though I did everything like traditionally, as far as I went to undergrad, I got my bachelor's, I continued and got my master's, and was the first one in my household family to do so. And so it was a proud moment, and I felt proud of myself, and I wanted to do that, but I was always just following a track. I was following this layout plan that I believed I needed to follow. And so I did. And I started my career in education. And, it was just, okay, what I'm supposed to be doing. And that was fine and dandy and all. But the idea of me really being in independent, and me really learning what that means and what that looks like, that was never taught to me. My parents never taught me that. They never said, okay, when you get your own place, or when you get your house, or whatever. That wasn't even a conversation. It was just an immediate expectation to, when you leave our home, when you leave this roof, you are leaving under the context of getting married and leaving to live with your husband. And I know that sounds so archaic now. When even saying it out loud, it sounds so archaic, but it just was what it was. And so, me not doing everything on script as far as that in particular, and me deciding to move out, not just move out, but move to a whole new state. And I knew I needed to do that. Like, at one point I was thinking like maybe I should just need to move out of my parents' home and live in a whole, live in my own home, live in my own apartment initially, and get a house, because I wanted to get a house anyway. But I suspended that idea because I wanted to start off with an apartment first. And plus, moving to a whole new state, I felt like getting a house initially would have been just a difficult journey that I just didn't want to go through so soon, right? So I wanted to suspend that because I was moving to a whole new state all together. But I just knew I needed to leave the whole state of Massachusetts in order for me to find and really indulge in my independence. And though it was a difficult journey in the beginning, and there were many times I questioned myself, like, what am I doing? Why did I remember initially living in my uncle's house here in Texas, in Houston, and I was in the living room area. My family members were elsewhere. I don't know where they were. But I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, I was having a legit panic attack. And one thing about me, I keep shit in. It's going to be inside until it's not anymore. Okay? Even if you ask me what's wrong, I'm fine. That's it. Right? And so, especially at that time, I didn't grow up with that side of my family intimately like I did my mom's side of my family. So even the thought of being emotional and intimate with my family members on my dad's side, that wasn't even an option for me. Like, no, I'm gonna deal with it myself and figure it out. But when I was sitting on the couch at my uncle's house, and I was panicking. I was internally panicking. I was looking around. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in a whole new house, a whole new state. I don't really know these people. That's really how I said it in my head. And I felt so uncomfortable. I was questioning myself. I felt like the world was like literally crashing in my face as I'm sitting on the couch. All these thoughts are coming to my head. And when you have an overwhelming thought, just an overwhelming flow of thoughts that come through your mind, it's sickening. It's to the point where if I faint right now, then I fainted. Like, I understand. Because sometimes when your mind is so out of whack, your body will just follow, right? And I was like panicking. And yet I was able to hide that enough so that when I realized when I was in my panic headspace, I quickly walked upstairs to where my room was and went into my room and just had an emotional breakdown, cried, and eventually distracted myself by watching something else, right? And then just moved on. But that's what I meant about instability. Like, emotionally and mentally, I was in that unstable mindset because I wasn't prepared, or I wasn't really encouraged to be this independent. And now being almost 31 and really just settling in who I am and my identity and established. Like, of course, there's more to go. Like, I'm not done growing. I'm not done adulting and just being more of who I am. But I'm so grateful for where I am now in comparison to where I was. And now I speak to that Maxine with grace. And I speak about that Maxine then with grace because I was figuring it out. I was younger and I was still just navigating myself in this thing called adulting and not really getting the support that I wanted from my parents. Not to say that they were not support. Well, I mean, they weren't really. They really weren't supportive of me moving here by myself. And it just, I didn't meet with much encouragement from them. It was just like, okay, well, this is what you want to do, and I don't get it. Why? And every time I would come home, whether it's a long weekend or vacation, I will always get met with the question. I will always get asked the question, why? I still don't understand why you moved to Houston. Why did you move to Texas? What made you move? Every time my mom will ask me that question, every time. And I'm like, you know what? At this point, every time I explain it to you, it's literally like she gives me a face. It's like I'm talking to a brick wall. Like, why are you asking still? I'm saying the same answer. I needed a change. I need to grow. I need to explore. Like, I'm saying these like very philosophical answers, responses to her. And my mom's not really that, I don't know, she doesn't really go there mentally. Like, she kind of sticks to a script. So me answering her the way that I do when it comes to that question, I can't get through to her. So there's no other way to get through. It's just like, okay. At this point, I don't know. Like, but it's not meant for you to understand. And that's what I'm really getting at here. What we do in our lives is not meant for others to understand. What we choose to do, whether it's financially, whether it's career-wise, whether it's romantic relationships, if you don't get it, it's not okay. Like, so, like, it has nothing, my life has nothing to do with you. Your life has nothing to do with me, right? Your decisions, what you do to keep the smile on your face. I mean, as long as you're not, I don't like saying that part. As long as you're not, obviously, like, that's a fucking given. But what I mean by that ultimately, like, as long as you're not, like, killing someone, right? That's not giving you a smile on your face. But, like, if you are deciding to go after your dreams, whatever that is, if you're deciding to go towards a relationship that makes you happy, that's consensual, of course. Yes, gotta say that. But if you're deciding to do whatever it is that makes you happy and you have some naysayers around you who don't understand it, don't let that sway you from going forth. Go yonder. So anyway, me being just a few days shy from 31, I'm just so grateful for where I am. And I was reflecting with one of my friends a few weekends ago, actually. Has an early celebration for my birthday. And I was just like explaining to her how I was initially mentally and emotionally and my lack of stability at that point. And me being where I am now, like literally being physically being where I am now. I always wanted to be here in the heart of Houston. I always wanted to live in the apartment that I live in, like the aesthetic of it, the sights that I see, just space, like it's just literally everything I ever wanted. And when I moved to Houston, it was always this, I always lived in an area that wasn't the Houston that I imagined for myself. Like, I lived in the suburbs, and my God, I don't like the suburbs. I don't know. I don't like the uniform look. I don't like white people. I mean, I don't like the dogs. I don't like it. I don't like it. But anyway, I started off with that for a reason. What was the reason? I don't know. But I just started off with that just as a reflection of my upcoming birthday. Let's talk about these birds. Literally birds. Where are the birds? I haven't seen a pigeon in months. What's going on, Bill Gates? What's going on, Bezos? What's going on? What's that conspiracy about the sky being, or like the weather being manipulated? There's a name for it, something. But there's something going on. Maybe it's just like a natural thing, right? With bears, they hibernate. Maybe pigeons are hibernating. I haven't seen a pigeon since. And I'm making this point because when I moved here almost a year ago, I saw a lot of pigeons on my balcony. A lot of pigeons. Like, pigeon will just be walking on my balcony table. Pigeons will be having dinner with me at 7. Like, pigeons are here. I haven't seen a pigeon in 3 months. Where are the pigeons? And what happened to the pigeons that are flying instantly west at sunrise or sunset? Where are the pigeons? Anyway, this is a question for thought. Please come with a response. Remember, you can respond to me in any topic that I discuss, or if you want to discuss a random topic, feel free to do so by clicking the link in the description notes where it says leave a voice message. Do so. You have a minute of sounding off on anything. You are welcome to do so respectfully. Okay, I want to start off with this topic that I came across of a clip of a teacher who's probably not teaching anymore after me listening to this clip. I think she finally decided maybe this is not the field that I want to be in anymore. And sis, I get it. Let's listen to this clip and discuss. Let us discuss.
Lamar Consolidated's Harry Wright Junior High School has been open for less than a year, and a first-year teacher recently told students she's had enough.
If I have to keep dealing with kids that are complete and utter morons, I'm done.
In a video originally sent to me by a parent and extensively shared on social media, the unnamed teacher is heard complaining about students and venting about the job.
I want to be fired at this point. I literally am going to hurt myself if I have to keep coming here.
She adds she wouldn't help students if they were in need.
I have never in my life dealt with kids that are so awful that if they fell into a river, I would let them float away.
Now, I just want to start off and say, woe to this person, whoever it was that recorded her. You're trash. Let's just start there. Woe to you, old man or woman, however you identify. Woe to you, because I think that's really shitty to record someone who is clearly distraught, right? Just upset over obviously her job and what is happening at her job, and maybe the lack of support that she's receiving at her job because she can't control her students. That's an encompassing situation there. Like, there's a lot of factors to her ranting the way that she's ranting. And for her to feel comfortable enough to come to whoever this person was and share this frustration, share this rant with this person, and this person to record it, that's whack. That's really whack. So let's start there. Now let's get into what she's saying. Let's get into it, because I got a lot to say, and I am in total support of this woman, of this teacher. Look, as an educator myself, I support her. If she has a GoFundMe, if she has a podcast, I will support it. I will promote it. I support this woman. I support this teacher, because my God, today, and the fact that the context is not highlighted enough, she's a first-year teacher. Let's just start and stop there, because teaching is not for the weak. Let's just be very clear and honest. It's not for the weak. It is a difficult job, and it's even more difficult when you're not someone who is street smart. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times people think, oh, I'm going to get into this field and I'm going to ace it. I'm going to be the best. I'm always good at what I do. I always get compliments. Everybody loves me, right? I always got straight A's in school. Oh, I'm going to be the best teacher, right? You have the degrees. You have the license. You have the certificate. You have all the accolades. You look good. You look good on paper. You look good for the job. You're going to do a great job, right? Until you get into the classroom, right? Until you meet the 26, 30 personalities in your classroom that you have to accommodate to, that you may not have enough resources for, that you may not even have enough emotional bandwidth for, but you have to figure it out daily. And not just daily, hourly, because the fun thing about teaching, anything goes, right? Like, a day is not routine. Though there is a schedule, of course, though you have your set classes that you teach every day, it's still not a routine job, because there's always something going on. There may be a fight happening in that hallway. You may come across a student disrespecting you and you're having to decide, do I roast this child in front of other students right now and possibly make it worse? Huh? Or do I say, step out my classroom, Johnny, step out my classroom, because you are not gonna, like, how do I handle the situation in that moment, right? So I think ultimately, again, one, woe to that person who recorded her and decided to spread this out for us to even be able to hear it. And to not have enough compassion and sympathy for this first year teacher is what's wrong with America. It really is. And I feel sorry for her, and I feel like she, if anything, should have been supported. Like, I get it. What she's saying may not be ideal, right? You may not be happy to know that a teacher at your child's school feels this way about children, and she's going on this rant. Hello? Kids are shitty. And you want to say junior high school? This is a middle school, junior high situation. Oh, that's peak shitty. That's the time when they're just realizing, oh, my words hurt, and I could do damage, and I could be manipulative, and I could use what I'm saying to really hurt and impact my teacher's life, so much so that they're crying in the classroom, so much so that they are quitting or they're taking more days off because they can't stand my ass. Students see that. And if you have a shitty ass, disrespectful ass student, they will do that and take advantage of it. And I know we want to say, but we got to look at the children. We got to support them. You don't know where they come from. You don't know how hard their home life is. Shut the fuck up. Let me say this, because I'm trying not to really be specific. And I'm trying not to say personal things about, like, my job, because I don't know who's listening. Let's just start there. I don't know who's listening. And, but, you know, again, it's my platform, so I'm going to speak my speech. One, First Amendment right. But I understand, let's just say that, I understand the emotional up to here with your shits that a teacher has, that I have sometimes, that I have had. But recently, now that I'm more into my practice, now that I am more settled into my own adulthood and I feel more confident who I am, it's not easy to get me rattled. But I remember in my first few years of teaching, it was very easy to get me rattled. I was very much so emotional and vulnerable to any antic a student would give me. And you have those disrespectful students who would try you. And if you don't respond in a manner that they find to be fearful enough, then you're at risk. These are real words. You are at risk every day to being a punching bag for this bitch ass kid. I said it. Some kids are shitty. And yeah, typically the shitty ones come from shitty backgrounds. Their dad's not home at the house. Their mother's hardly around. They have to be the caretaker, the parent of the house. Okay, you're still shitty, right? Like, okay, and you're still a shitty ass kid, and I hate being your fucking teacher. Let's start. Hello, is my mic on? Let's start there. Okay, and I find it unfortunate, and I'm sorry you're going through what you're going through at home, but you're still a shitty ass kid, and I don't want to be your teacher. I don't want to be it's your teacher, right? Like, it's not the other students who make teaching so exciting because they're here to learn and they want to do better in their similes, right? They want to know how to write. They want to know how to write a strong thesis statement. Oh my, those students, I do it for them. No, of course, you will find difficult students who may not love writing, and eventually they find their voice in it. And I do it for them too. I think that's exciting. I think that makes it all worth it. But when you have a kid who is relentlessly an asshole to you, no, I don't want to be your teacher. I don't. You come to class every fucking day and you sit there. Why are you here? Hello? I've told students before, I don't even know why you come here at this point, because you don't do shit. I don't say shit. I don't swear to them. I really don't. I'm not a big swearer. And I still cringe when people swear to students, to kids. I think it's just, I didn't grow up that way, but I know there are some Black Americans in particular who have grew up that, whose parents spoke to them in a manner that included a lot of swear words. I didn't, that's not my story. That's not my story. It was respect in my house. I'm kidding. No, but that was the one thing we didn't. What are you doing swearing? I remember reading a meme a few days ago, and it said some of y'all grew up. I had to remind myself that some of y'all didn't grow up the way that I did, and some of you guys didn't grow up in religious backgrounds. So when you said you was smoking with your aunt at a young age, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, and I'm crying at that because that is so real. Like, you have a lot of kids or like people my age who grew up in a household that allowed for anything to happen, where if I wanted to bring my significant other home and sleep with them in my parents' home, that was an acceptable thing in some households. And I could never do that at home when I was younger, ever. Like, you have kids. I remember being younger, 14, 15 years old, being friends with some of my peers in high school, and they would say how they slept over their boyfriend's house a few nights out of the week. And I'm just thinking, where are your parents? And I guess that just speaks to maybe the dysfunction in their household, the lack of order, whatever it is, because I could never even fix my mouth to say, hey, Dad, I'm going to go sleep with my boyfriend's house and spend the next few nights there. Okay. I remember when I was an adult, okay? I wasn't a kid. I was in my early 20s. I was an adult. I already graduated with my bachelor's. I was working towards my master's at the time, and I was in a relationship, my first adult relationship with a man, and he and I were in a relationship, right? I already introduced him to my parents, and I'm talking about Leprechaun Bay. So one weekend or 1 or 2 days out of the week, there was a snowstorm that happened in Boston. You know, Boston during the winter season, when there's a snowstorm. And sometimes you have to really prepare for it because you may be snowed in and you may not be able to leave the house. And it's best to not leave the house for your safety. So I purposely decided to stay with Leprechaun Bay all day until the snowstorm hit, so that I could be quote unquote trapped in his home and say, oh, I don't feel comfortable driving home. I'm just gonna sleep at my boyfriend's house, Leprechaun Bay. And I had to set up this whole thing. Oh, I'm gonna go out with him earlier today. I'm gonna stay out with him long enough until the snow hits, and then say this plan. And I did it for myself. We didn't sit down together and do it. But the fact that I had to do that really speaks to the fact that my parents weren't on that shit. Like, no, you come home. I don't care what age you are. You come home. So never mind me being 14, 15 years old and I'm talking about, oh, I'm sleeping over with my boyfriend. Well, huh? I'm sorry. Are you an adult? Not even. Are you a married adult who has moved out of my home because you're married now? Like, that's the mindset, okay? So I just cannot. Anyway, why did I bring that part up? The point is, you have shitty ass kids. You have shitty ass fucking kids, and I am in full support of this teacher, and especially being that it's her first year of teaching. It really sucks when you're in your first year of a field that you prepared for, right? Or you thought you prepared enough for it. It's really up until you get into the classroom. That's when you can build on your confidence as a teacher. You have to just be in the field. You can't study about students and different behavioral types. You have to know what these are firsthand. You have to have experienced it in different types of behavioral situations to know what to do in these moments. And when you have a first year teacher, oftentimes you're not in a space where you feel comfortable enough to advocate for yourself yet. And if you're in an environment where you're not well supported, let's talk, like, a lot of times people talk about the shitty ass kids, right, at a school, right? We get it. You know, there are some shitty kids who's disrespectful, who you hate. Like, every time, whenever they're absent, you rejoice. Like, oh, thank God I don't deal with this dumbass kid. I don't have to deal with this dumbass kid. Yes, that's the context. But aside from that, when there is a lack of support from administrators, from colleagues, but particularly administrators, you feel even more alone. You feel even more unprepared when you thought you was prepared and now you're not. You feel like, oh shit, what did I get myself into? So that's a whole other journey that you have to navigate through. So there's that. And there's the fact that when you're, like, oftentimes when you're teaching in your first year, you don't realize the amount of work that is to be done. You know, it's not just, lesson planning and teaching. It's all the little stuff that is expected and required of you on a daily. If you're not a multitasker, if you're not someone who's organized, then teaching's not for you. Like, you have to know how to organize. You have to know how to multitask. You have to know how to grade in a timely manner and complete unnecessary paperwork that's really done because it looks good for the region. You have to know, or for the district. You have to know how to navigate parent relationships so that you can best support your students. You have to know how to be a strong colleague so that you know how to best, whatever. Like, there's so many factors to teaching. It's not just about students. And when there is a lack of support and you're pushed into a classroom and you're given more responsibilities than you signed up for, like maybe you got hired, or you thought you was getting hired for that 10th grade teaching position for literature, and now you're doing literature and side classes for history, and you're doing support groups for math. I don't support groups, but you're doing more than you fucking thought. Hello, I didn't sign the contract for this. I just wanted to teach 4 classes, and that was what was promised, and now you're telling me otherwise? Hello, what's going on? So that's a lot, and it's a lot of mental capacity needed to be had. So, and then the fact that you have, look, there's a lot of memes out here that you could read and just look at online to understand the plight of what it is that is teaching. But until you have to grow more into the field, personally, aside from knowing, like, the book smart of it all, you have to know how to just manage in the time, in the lifetime that it is. That's when you could really be that strong teacher. And I'm so happy I'm here, right? Like, I've grown to become that. But like I said, I wasn't always like that. Years earlier into my career, I felt very much like, okay, will I ever get to a point of stability in my career? You know, I have this job, but I don't feel like I have enough order in my classroom, or maybe I'm not teaching this subject in a manner that's clear enough for my students. I just didn't feel like the expert that I could have been until now. I mean, hello, I'm that shit. Thank God. But it takes a while. So my heart goes out to this teacher. And the fact that she's a first year teacher, that should have been that should have been the stopping point before anyone had judgment. People should have been like, because she's getting a lot of backlash. She's already on administrative leave, so her job is shaky, is down the line over. I don't know if she's going to continue teaching. I don't know if she's going to leave that at that job, because we don't talk enough about toxic work environments. That may have been a toxic work environment. Maybe not only was the student shitty, like she has explained, she called them morons, but I think there are other factors to that workplace that may have resulted into her ranting the way that she did. Like, it's not just the kids, it's a lot of different things. She probably felt a massive lack of support from administrators, from other people who could have supported her in that manner. And being a first year teacher is not an easy job. It's really not. So initially, I think people should have reacted to her with grace. I think she should have been met with grace. I think whoever recorded her should also be investigated, because that's fucked up. Like, what happened to confidentiality? Hello? Like, you can't be recording people without their consent. That's off principle. Now, we don't know who she is. There isn't a name, or at least none that I could find. I know it's a school in Texas. I don't know. I just think ultimately our First Amendment right is being attacked. You should be able to pop off. You should have a shitty day. Like, you should be able to say, yo, I had a shitty fucking ass day. I'm upset. These kids disrespected me in my first period. None of them listened to what I said. All of them scored poorly on the exam, and they're fucking dumb. Like, and whether you mean it or not, let me say it. Hello, let me say it. Like, we should be able to rant and not lose our job. Now, when I was initially listening to the clip, right before I listened to it, I was thinking like, oh gosh, did she say the N-word? Is she one of those? Like, did she happen to say, oh, these fucking nigger ass kids? Like, did she spaz out with Tourette's and said the N-word? No, she didn't. She just called them morons. I mean, maybe they're fucking morons. Like, hello, it's okay. Like, sometimes they're fucking morons. Imagine someone use this clip. Crying emoji. They're fucking morons. It's okay. And another thing, I just feel like there's this pressure for teachers to be this virtuous person, these virtuous beings, as if we don't have anger, as if we don't have frustration, as if we don't have sadness. We are just like everybody else, and we should have the right to express ourselves. And it's just, I don't know, I guess for me, I'm just always gonna be the honest one and say, no, I don't really like this class. I don't really like this class, period. I hate this class, period. Every day I dread seeing this student. And that's okay. But I think that's also, like, if you look at things macro, right, big picture, not everyone will you like. And that includes kids. Kids are human beings. Am I wrong? Kids are human beings, and not every human being you like. Now, just because I don't like a student doesn't mean I'm going to treat them unfairly. I may not I may not call on them real quick. I'm kidding. No, I just may not vibe with you. Like, maybe I just don't like your personality type. Your humor is off-putting, and I'm not in gel with it. Not everyone's your cup of tea. I remember reading someone's Instagram bio, and it says, I'm not for everyone. And that's really for everybody. I hate when people try to be friends with everybody. They like to have a collection of friends, a collection of people that they like. They're friends with everybody. They know everyone's business. It's like, but you're not though. You're not though. I'm always going to be the person to have a few good friends. You know that movie, A Few Good Men? I will have a few good friends. I have a few good friends. I keep my numbers low. And it goes back to what I was saying in the last episode, how I just can't emotionally take a lot of people at once. My anxiety creeps in and I get so frazzled. I just can't do it. So I need to have that 1, 2, maybe 3 is pushing it, but that 3 good friend group where okay, I really could trust you. I know you, you know me, I feel comfortable with you. That's a lot. Like, I can't feel comfortable in knowing and trusting everybody and be friends with everybody, and I know your emotional baggage and I'm holding you down. That's a lot. I just don't understand people who like to have a collection of people around them. It's just never been my jazz. And that goes for students. Not every student will I like, and not every student I've liked. I remember in my previous school that I worked at, there was this bitch ass kid, and I'm saying that emphatically, and I'll say it again. My God, I wasn't even, and I think my position at the time just wasn't as stable as it is now, right? So at the time, I was transitioning from a fellow, which is basically, it's essentially a teacher's aide. And I was transitioning from that role into a more of a lead teacher role. But prior to me getting the lead teacher position, I was a permanent substitute teacher. And all the stereotypes for substitute teacher is true. Like, it's absolutely true. Like, kids don't respect you. You have to find a way to navigate yourself through different classes. You have to know how to communicate any and every lesson to the best of your ability, because one, you don't want to look like a fool up there, but yet you don't know how the teacher, the actual teacher of that class, taught this content, and you don't want to teach them incorrectly, so it's a lot. And with substitute teacher roles, you are in any and every class. You can't just be like, oh no, I prefer English literature classrooms to substitute in. No. You're going to sub wherever you're needed. Period. So I've subbed science classes, math classes, and yes, I went to school like everyone else. I graduated. I took these courses before, but I took these courses 15, 20 years, not 20 years, but I took them a long ass time ago. I hate when students today, some of my students today will ask me for help on a math problem, and I'm like, but I'm your English teacher. Like, and I say that lovingly, but like honestly, because I don't remember cosines. I don't remember Ta-Nehisi Co's. What's the other math problem formula? I don't remember. Like, I would have to sit through a lesson with you, and then it'll jog my memory. But other than that, I don't remember Pocahontas. Cosine. I don't remember. And I'm going to look stupid. I'm the adult, and I'm over here letting this child school me. My ego is too big a little bit for that. Okay? So don't come to me for tutoring about math. Just come to me for tutoring about thesis statements, similes, metaphors, writing skills, knowing how to analyze the theme. Just do that. Otherwise, don't do anything else. But anyway, as a substitute teacher, you don't have a say-so into what classes you go to. So at the time, and of course I was younger, I was in my early 20s, fresh out of undergrad, just starting my master's program. So I'm still like finding my way, I'm finding my voice. And I have to deal with students who are, one, high school students, and I was also in like a mixture of middle school classes, so 8th and 7th grade classes, as well as high school classes. So of course I'm younger, right? And I look younger. So I look almost like these damn kids. And I look like I could either be one of these students or be one of these students' sibling, older sister. So there's that. So I'm in one classroom, and mind you, this is an older school. I'm not talking about my current school. This is a previous school that I was at. And this bitch, and I'm saying that with heart, okay? With all of my might. She was a senior. So honestly, she was just a few years short from me. Okay? So I felt like she was my peer. We could have went outside. Okay? You know where I'm going with it. We could have went outside because I hated this girl. So she was just mean. She was just a fucking bitch. Like, she would talk. So like in times when during the lesson you're supposed to be quiet, right? All right, let's be silent. Let's keep the volume level at a 1. And teachers know we like to use different like tools to gather student engagement or student management. So there's a number system where, okay, your voices are at a 4 meaning the highest, and I really need you to be at a 2 meaning inside voice. 1 is really a whisper voice or complete silence. 3 is manageable voice where, okay, we're engaging a discussion, so your voice should be a little bit louder. But anyway, we were during a part of a lesson where your voice should be at a 1, really a whisper voice if you need to talk. Because you need to talk to your peer about something real quick. But because it's an independent task, typically for independent task work, you have to be silent. Do it on your own. Test yourself with the skill that's being presented to you. You're not teaching yourself, but you're learning. You're knowing if you got you're knowing if you got the content. Okay, so it's at a 1. Everyone else is quiet, but this little girl, again, she's 17, 18 at the time. She's a senior student, and I'm 22 probably. So she's still talking. She's turning around. She's getting other people to talk. She's laughing. She's making jokes, and she's kind of aggressive to the point where she could have gotten up to my face, and I would have put my pencil down, or like it would have been on and popping type of thing. So she could have gotten into my face. She's aggressive, like physically. She's this like tomboy, and this was before the whole LGBTQ being more of a movement. This was before the he, she, her pronoun situation. I feel like if she was during this time, she would be more on that wave. But anyway, she was a tomboy. So she was just super aggressive. I'm telling her, you need to be quiet now. This is, I'm being professional, trying to do my job professionally as much as I can at my 22-year-old ass. And she's just challenging me. She's talking to me in a manner that's disrespectful. She's like challenging me. You know how people give you eye contact? She was giving me eye contact and trying to wait and see if I'll break the eye contact. That type of shit. Like, girl, are we doing this? So I'm being petty right back because 1, you're not doing that. That's number 1. You're not doing that. So I'm giving her eye contact back, like, I said what I said. You need to be quiet. And she said something like, what she said? She was like, that's why I don't even like you. Whatever she said. She actually did say it. That's why I'm like, okay, so why don't you like me? I just don't like you. And I'm like, okay. So I'm just like dismissing her. And what's also trippy about that time period, which is what is another reason why first-year teachers have a hard time, is when there's a lack of support from administrators. And by administrators, I mean the grade level department chair person. I mean the assistant principal. I mean the vice principal. I mean the disciplinary team. I mean the principal. Like, all of those people, if they are not supportive, if they are not easy to contact, if they're not accessible in these moments when you're being challenged by a student, you're probably made to feel uncomfortable in your classroom, and you're the adult. Like, you should never feel uncomfortable in your classroom. Never. And that's how I feel now, right? I don't feel uncomfortable in my classroom. I'm saying now I feel very comfortable in my classroom. I know how to be the authority figure in my classroom. Yet back then I didn't, and I was not supported well. So when I would contact the administrators and let them know about what happened, I wasn't approached in a timely manner, right? They'll respond to me 2-3 days later, like, bitch, just happened on Monday. You're talking to me next Wednesday? I don't even feel this feeling anymore, So there's that. And it's like, she was a fucking bitch. And I'll say that to this day. Oh, I'm still mad at her. And I don't know her name. I forgot her name. And I honestly don't know if I could tell her face if I were to see her ever come across her today. I really don't know. But that's just the point that I'm making. You will come across people, and students are people who you just don't fuck with, who would find, or who just don't fuck with you. You may not have an issue with that person, but they for some reason have an issue with you, and that's nothing to do with you, right? You may just represent someone who triggered them in their past, and now you have to bear the grunt of that sucks. That fucking sucks. But unfortunately, that's the reality for some people who don't know how to manage their emotions. They will take it out on someone else who reminds them of the actual person who hurt them. Like, what? So anyway, she was a fucking bitch, and I wish I would see her today. No, but she was dead ass aggressive. It was to the point where I felt uncomfortable, like I said, and I felt like physically uncomfortable. Like I felt like at any point, and she was there was a lack of order in that classroom, okay? And I think it bled from the permanent teacher in that classroom not really setting strong classroom management skills, and me coming into it young and fresh face, not really knowing the management skills that I needed to execute to really manage his class. So, excuse me, it's all of that. And the fact that she was just an asshole didn't really help. So, a lot of students will like walk around sometimes. Some of them would, but they would sit down eventually, or when I would tell them to. It wasn't that much of a big deal. But she was always the one who kept on trying me. Oh my God, I wish I remember her name. Honestly, I hated her so much that I repressed that memory. I repressed that moment. So I'm not surprised that I don't remember her. But I remember that feeling. I remember that moment. I could kind of gather an image of her in my mind. But yeah, no, she was an asshole. She was a fucking asshole. So this just goes to say, like, I support this teacher. I really do. I think she should be given grace, particularly if not for anything else, for the fact that she's a first year teacher. These teachers, these parents in particular, they really want you to be their children's all in all, when it's like, no, parent, you gave birth to this child. I mean, there's more stories I could say, but again, I don't know who's listening, so let's move forward. Speaking of freedom of speech, you know, I am all for freedom of speech. I am all for protecting that right. You should have the right to say whatever the fuck you want to say. Whatever. And I don't agree with the whole, well, you can say whatever you want to say, but the consequences for what you say should still be had. No, then that means I can't say what I want to say. Right? Like, that doesn't mean anything. So anyway, let's get into this topic. Cardi B wins defamation lawsuit against YouTuber Tasha K. And Tasha K is a very popular YouTuber, and she has a large following, a large channel. She brings in numbers. And yeah, that's her. She stands alone, right? For a few moments, not even a few, a very long time actually. She spent a lot of time ranting about Cardi B, talking shit about Cardi B basically. And Tasha K is a blogger. She talks about anything gossipy, whether it's valid or not. She is on it. She has the story for it. And I don't watch Tasha K because I don't really care for her content or her presentation of her content. Like, it doesn't really strike my attention too much, but I am familiar of her. So apparently she has several videos of Cardi B in which she's talking dumb shit about her. I don't know what she's saying, but either way, she's talking about her. And Cardi B gets wind of it because, again, Tasha K has a large following. She has a big YouTube channel. And because of that, Cardi B gets wind of what she's saying in her videos, and she feels offended and she feels hurt, quote unquote. I'm going to read exactly what this says here. So, Grammy Award-winning rapper Cardi B won a lawsuit Monday against YouTuber Tasha K for defamation, invasion of privacy, and intentional infliction of emotional distress, and was awarded a 7-figure sum in damages. Now, I think this is petty. I think Cardi B may have had beef with Tasha K prior to actually bringing this to the courts. And I think Cardi B doesn't need the money, right? I'm not pocket watching her. I don't know how much she has, but I think Cardi B's fine, right? At the very least, I think she's fine financially. And I think Cardi B, look, I'm a sensitive person too. Contrary to popular belief, I am very, very sensitive. And not to say that celebrities can't be sensitive beings or can't have feelings and can't be in emotional distress like Cardi B claims. But I think when you're in the limelight, you essentially sign up for that. And to go out of your way to take down this YouTuber and get awarded money, 7 figures. Like, yes, Tasha K, I'm sure she has money from the work that she's put in social media. But I still think she's not your level as far as financially. So when someone is going out of their way to beat someone in court in order for them to get a certain amount of money from them as payback, as a reward, I think it's just a demonstration of you being petty. I really do. I think it's just you just being a fucking asshole. Cardi B, whose real name is Belle Collis, oh my gosh, let's just say Cardi B, was targeted by Latasha Tresina, who's Tasha K, in a malicious, quote unquote, campaign to, quote, damage and destroy, quote, end quote, her reputation among her fans, according to a 2019 lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court, Northern District of Georgia. Kibi published multiple false and defamatory statements about plaintiff, including that plaintiff was a prostitute, that plaintiff was a user of cocaine, that plaintiff had and still has herpes. The lawsuit. I'm sorry, it's not funny. Okay, so Tasha K is being accused of saying defamatory and false statements. She's accused of claiming that Cardi B uses cocaine. She accused Cardi B of being a prostitute and having herpes. Now, is she wrong? Let me stop before this podcast. No, let's talk about this part. I think here you have someone who was a sex worker. Like Cardi B stood proudly on the fact that she was a stripper, that while she stripped and while she was in that world, she drugged her patrons. Like, let's not forget, hello, did we forget that? That whole movie, what's that movie called that was released not too long ago? Where I'm gonna look it up. Movie with J-Lo. Was it Hustlers, okay? Hustlers came out in 2019, and it has a lot of, like, very poppin' women on it. Like, you have J-Lo, you have this other person, whatever. There's a lot of Lizzo, like, a lot of random celebrity acts are in this movie. And this movie is essentially about Cardi B's history with men whom she stripped for, and she would allegedly, let me just say that, allegedly, she would drug. She would bring them, she would seduce them into a hotel room, she'll get their money, she'll rob them, and she'll do that successfully by drugging these niggas. And a lot of these men were fools and just silly because they fell for the okie doke every time. Now, who's responsible? I mean, both parties, really, essentially, because it's like, why are you going to a hotel room with a stripper? But okay. Not to blame the victim. Don't blame the victim. But girl, nigga, come on. You should know better. But I also feel like men who are in those positions, they feel like they would never be in those positions because I'm a man, right? I'm not gonna get manipulated by a woman. What? I'm stronger than her. I'm much more equipped to defend myself in comparison to a woman who's in that position. But anyway, a lot of men were manipulated and taken advantage of and robbed. And Cardi B admitted that. She said that in a video. You know, Cardi B talks a lot. She talked a lot at one point. Now I don't really see her talking too much. She's not really the same Cardi B who we've known from the beginning of her career. I don't know what's going on, but either way, she's not the same person. But at one point, she did talk about this freely and openly and proudly on her channel. And so in that time, I wouldn't be surprised if she used cocaine. Like, let's just fucking be honest. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she was a cocaine user. If she decided to sniff a little bit to get the job done. I wouldn't be surprised if she's had several partners in the stripping world and she may have contracted herpes. Like, all these things are not far-fetched. Like, come on, dog. Like, and I get it. I feel like, of course, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's not something you want to brag about. But then why does Cardi B, or why did Cardi B at one point brag about drugging her patrons? Huh? Allegedly. You know, it's just silly. So I just don't like that. And I feel like because of the large platform that Tasha K has, it's a bigger name, it's a bigger voice, and she just felt, I don't know. I just think ultimately, again, not everyone likes you, right? Not everyone will like you, and that's okay. I think going out of your way, though, to go to court, having this court case be had since 2019 is just ridiculous. Her claiming that she's gone through emotional distress, mental anguish, suffered severe humiliations. Girl, that comes with a fucking job. You're a performer. Everybody knows you. Not everyone's gonna like you. Not everyone's going to say positive things about you. Not everyone is going to just appreciate the craft that you put out. Everyone will have their critique. Are you going to sue everyone who has something negative to say, whether it's true or not? What if these things were actually true? They were actually supported with fact. Tasha K had video, statements, records, anything that could support what she's saying, which I feel like she probably did. Is she still wrong? Is she still not able to speak her speech? Can we only have freedom of speech if we're talking positively about someone or about something? Like, come on. This goes into the whole argument with the whole quote-unquote misinformation that Joe Rogan is allegedly spewing. How is it misinformation? If it's not following the status quo of information, if it's not information that is acceptable by the mainstream, if CNN has not finally said, hey, COVID was a plan, then it's misinformation. Like, I don't know. I think it's petty. I think our freedom of speech is being attacked. I think we are constantly fighting to be able to say how we feel and not get sued for it and not be made to feel like we're horrible beings for it. It's my fucking freedom of speech. It's stupid. And again, not every student will you like. Not every student will you like. Okay, moving forward. Kevin Samuels apparently said something. I was trying to find the video, but I can't find the video of it. And I didn't want to watch through all the different clips of videos that I saw on Twitter of Kevin Samuels. I just didn't want to. I don't have time. But I was watching someone else's video, and these women were talking about Kevin Samuels' latest comment. And allegedly, he said, if a woman goes out on a date with a man after 5 p.m., then she should expect to have sex with him. And my question to that is, does he have a point? Does he not? Let's talk about this. Now, I think there's a point and then there's not a point. What I disagree with is the time, because I think 5 p.m. is still early enough where, like, say if we go out at 5 p.m., I come back home at 7 p.m., I'm not, like, it's not gonna be an understanding that we're having sex now, right? I think, though, if he were to have said, if a woman goes out on a date with a man at 10 p.m., I think 10 p.m. is a good enough time to cut that off, to think and to have that expectation of, hey, yeah, if we're going out to dinner, I hope you know that you're going to be dinner afterwards. I think that is more understandable. I think that is more expected if it was a later time. And I know you can't say that now. It's like, oh my God, you shouldn't even expect sexual pleasure from me. I just feel like, look, it's 1 a.m. It's 11. It's 11 o'clock. Let's say 11. It's 11 o'clock. You got me getting up from bed. You got me waking up. And I'm not saying me as in the woman, right? I'm saying it in the perspective of a man and in the perspective of a woman, really. Because not to say women aren't. Like, women are very sexual beings. We don't talk about that enough. And I think nighttime unleashes that need for your sexual needs to be met, to be accomplished. Like, I think it's okay. So I feel like after 10 p.m., after 11 p.m., there should be an expectation of, not should be an expectation, but I feel like naturally there would be an expectation. Like, hey, after we go to this movie, we're going to come home and have our own movie. Hello? I just think, we just have to be honest with ourselves and our natural human desires. And when we lack that honesty, our self-honesty, okay, we are doing ourselves a disservice to go out with someone after 10 o'clock. It's not to say that the man is required and he has every right. Like, it's okay if he rapes you. I'm not even going there. That's not what we're doing. What I'm saying is, don't be surprised if he tries to rub up on you. Is this wrong? I want to know how to say this without sounding like a man. I don't know. I guess I'm just a sexual being. Like, everyone, like, we all are. But a lot of people, some people suppress their sexual desires and just sensuality. I would say I'm more of a sensual person. Like, I like to feel you, right? I like the touch of you. I like hands. I like strong hands. I like, I like all of that. And when I'm in a position where it's nighttime, like, aren't you just horny at night? Hello? Like, is the mic on? Like, shit, it's nighttime and early mornings. That's when my horniness is at its peak. Hello? At its peak. Like clockwork. I just gotta get up and go to work. Fuck. No, but seriously, like, that is natural. It's natural. Again, you know how to control it. You should know how to manage it. You should know how to not let your desires control you. That is like the overall lesson here. So with his comments, with Kevin Samuels' comments, I think the time that he gave, 5 p.m., is a little too early. Like, you go out with someone at 7 p.m. and it not be that serious. But if you're meeting someone out for the first time, or, typically booty call hours, 11, 12, you get that text, what are you doing? Not even what are you doing, the WID. Oh, I used to hate getting those texts. But I knew what was going on. You know what I mean? Like, I knew what time it was. I knew if I responded to this text that it meant, oh, you trying to come over. Okay, I used to get those texts a lot, particularly in college. What are you doing? And then, at college, it's not, what is time? So what, I have 8 a.m. class. I'm in college. I'm on campus. I'm free from my parents' home and thumb. I am here, right? So time is not even a factor. It's not a fucking factor. But ultimately, though, when a man is hitting you up, even a woman, is hitting you up at 11, 12, 1 o'clock, the audacity, but you know what time it is. You know what time it is. So if you were to go out with that person or just go over their home, for a quote unquote Netflix and chill moment when you really know it's fucking chill. I remember I used to be in this group chat, in my church's group chat when I was back home in Boston. I was the leader of the young adult ministry group. Yes, me, I was. And I created a group chat for us to just check in with each other, to just be there for each other throughout the week and not just a weekend thing. And then keep each other abreast of different events that we have prepared for young adults in the church and in the community. Why did I bring that up? Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. Basically, I was talking about, oh my gosh, I totally blanked out. I wish I had like a producer, someone in my head to helping me. Why did I bring that up? I don't remember why I brought that up. I brought that up basically to say that, maybe it'll come to me. Oh, I'm so sorry, you guys. But I guess I was talking about something to them at the time. And I totally forgot. Why? I don't know why I brought that up. Never mind. But okay, ultimately though, 12, 1 o'clock. Oh, okay, I remember. Oh, thank God it came back to me. I hate when that happens. Okay, let me hurry up and get to it. So, in the group chat, again, I'm this young adult ministry leader. We're talking about Netflix and chill and the connotation that has, and that typically when someone says Netflix and chill, it means we fucking. Like, let's stop. Instead of saying, oh, we fucking, right? You give the euphemism of Netflix and chill because it's easier to digest. It's not as just outright blatant and making, some people are comfortable being outspoken with their sexual desires. And so, being the truth teller that I am, I've always been this way. I was on the group chat. Again, I am the young adult ministry leader. But I'm still keeping it a buck. Like, hello. And at that time, this was several years ago, I was seeing someone, but it was super casual. And when we would hang out, he would start it off by saying, oh, we could watch a movie. We could check out what's on Netflix. He could come over. And he lived near where I lived. And it was like, okay, hip hop skipping away, right? So I drove over there under the context of him starting a conversation off with Netflix and chill. Literally, he'll say those words, but I knew what was up, right? And I wanted it, right? So it wasn't like I was taken aback or I don't know. It was obvious that typically we're not just gonna watch the fucking movie at 11 o'clock. Like let's just, hello, is the mic on? I'm not watching the movie in full starting at 11, and I'm not gonna fill up on you like that. What? I just don't understand the whole, like, he just started touching on me, and he doesn't know how to keep his hands to himself and watch the movie. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm the problem. Because as soon as I'm attracted to you, at least back then, like, I don't know, like, I was looking forward to, okay, this is the part in the movie when we will zone out and we will go get to doing what we're doing. Like, I would literally think about, okay, around an hour and 5-minute mark, this is the time when that was literally all on my mind. That was on my mind. And yet, that was just the honest truth. Like, that was just a common understanding that when men say Netflix and chill, or, come over, we can watch a movie, we're doing something else. Hello? Is the door open? We're doing something else. And so I was saying that in the group chat. Everyone else is like, no, I just go over the guy's house and we just watch a movie. Okay. Can we be? Are you guys being honest? You're not watching. Like, you're fucking too. You are fucking as well. Like, stop. And I got so annoyed, which honestly, like, led to me starting my podcast, because I felt like people weren't telling the fucking truth. You're not being honest. I'm not going to your apartment at 10 o'clock is still late. Especially being I love to sleep. And getting older, I really value my sleep. And when my body's tired, I'm knocked out, okay? So to be at this age, right? If I was still like doing what I was doing back then, I would really be of the understanding that, oh, I'm going over your house for this purpose. Yeah, to chill with you and whatnot. But if we're casual, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like we were dating more exclusively and like I was really trying to get to know you and vice versa, and we're doing this thing intentionally. It wasn't even like, it was just like, hey, we're chilling, you know, what's that was our conversation. Hey, that was our conversation. No substance, none. So you mean to tell me at 11 o'clock we're gonna suddenly have substance and watch this movie on Netflix and just watch it, and I'm gonna leave you and go home without getting? I'm gonna get something. You're gonna get something. Like, it's going to be an exchange. So I'm the only one being honest in this church ministry group chat. While my peers are just, I know, I just watched a movie. And that's it. And I don't feel any horniness. My pussy doesn't get wet. Like, my pussy gets wet all the time. It's a problem. Sometimes I'll just be like, oh, stop it. Anyway, I'm just tired of lying. I'm tired of people lying. Stop. After a certain time, if you're meeting up with someone whom you are attracted, let's add that into it. Obviously, if you're meeting with someone who you like, you are obviously physically attracted to this person. There is an attraction. There is a level of chemistry that is shared between you and the person. Maybe you guys hung out a few times before, but you never got a chance to really hang out with this person in a more intimate setting where it's just you and him. And so, bam, here's an opportunity. You're not going to take it? Consensually, of course, right? You're not going to take it consensually? Shut up. Like, cut the shit. Man, cut the check. You know, it's silly. Let's move on to the next topic before I scream again. Let's talk about how patriarchy strikes again. Patriarchy strikes again. You know, some words I'm going to sound like a dodo saying something. Like the R's, when I say R's, right? And an A and an R, oh, so hard. A W, A, and an R, like a warrant. Those words are hard for me. I don't know. I just sound like I have to really slow down my speech. And I like to talk fast. So I'm like, you know, but I have to really talk slowly so you could understand the words that are coming out my mouth. Anyway, patriarchy strikes again. And I'm saying this because men are still beating women. Okay? I'm saying this specifically in the athletic field. Men are still beating women. Men who are now women are still beating women. Hello? Do you hear where I'm going with this? Okay? There have been 2 examples in the media so far of trans women, so men who have transitioned into women, are beating the biological women in the sport that they're in. So trans woman Leah Thomas has been dominating the swim team and the swim challenges, and it has caused a lot of stir. It has caused, to say the very least, it has caused a lot of stir. The biological women feel uncomfortable. They believe that they definitely see an unfair balance between them and Leah Thomas, who is the transgender woman, and they feel like she is because that is her now pronoun, she is just dominating the field, and it's done at a disadvantage because obviously she was born a biological male. Now, is this the truth? Yes, I believe the story, right? But I'm looking at it from the lens of, you have this trans woman, Leah Thomas, who prior to her transition, because before she transitioned, she was a he. Okay, so now I'm going to go to that pronoun. He was in that field of swim. He was an athlete, he was a swimmer, and he wasn't shit. He was mediocre at best. He wasn't the bomb.com. He wasn't just dominating the field, just swimming past everyone, giving them dust. No. He was mediocre at best. And he suddenly felt like, you know what? I really feel like I'm supposed to be a woman, and God created me incorrectly. And so I'm going to take the steps necessary to transition. Now, he hasn't gone the full route, at least not yet, of transitioning. So, for example, he is still in his natural biological body, meaning he still has a dick. Hello, yes, there is still a penis, an erect penis, it connected to him. Okay, he still have broad shoulders, or I should say she now, because now that's the pronoun. But she still looks like a man. The only difference is she grew out her hair and maybe got some cosmetic surgery done on the face a little bit to look more estrogen-like. But aside from that, the body, neck down, is giving man. It's giving man. It's giving male. It's giving male genitalia. That's what it's giving. Yet, because she self-identifies as a woman, as a trans woman, she is now being treated as such, and is now in the biological women's swim team, and is competing as a woman in this field. And naturally, she is beating all of the women whom she is going against. And the issue with this is unfair. It's unfair. Like, I feel like there should be a space created for transgender athletes. There should be a space created for transgender sports where there wouldn't be an element of unfair balance. Transgender women are not women. Transgender women are transgender women, right? You know how people be like, black women, white women, it's all the same. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's the same thing. Black women are what? Black women. Yeah. Can you say it again? Can you say it with me? Hello? Black women are black women. Asian women are Asian women, right? Yes, we share the women part, but our ethnic background is different. So we will have differences of perspective, of thoughts, of cultural identities, of experiences here in America because of that difference. And the issue with this is with trans women and and I have to say biological to make that stark difference, but even saying that sounds transphobic, right? I'm so tired of that. Anyway, but I have to make that stark difference because it's a difference. You know, biological women who were born biologically as women and who still identify as such definitely look different, perform differently, are biologically different than trans women, because trans women were what? Born as men who later transitioned into women. And some of them who transition into women are not fully committed into that. What I mean by that is they still carry their biological genitalia. So to allow this trans woman, Leah Thomas, I don't know what was her previous name. I could just look it up real quick. But her previous name was not, I mean, she ultimately, this is a man. This is a man participating in women's sports, and he's dominating the field. He's giving them an ass whooping, and it's like, hey, what the fuck, dog? Like, what the fuck? And, you know, it's one thing to look, like, let people live their lives, right? Like, at the very end of the day, like, your shit doesn't make me fart, right? I definitely messed up that saying, but it's a saying, right? Your shit don't make me stink or something. The point is, like, you can live your life, but when your life living is now creating an unfair balance for people who are naturally living their lives, then that's a conversation that there needs to be a created lane. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And when we have these conversations, people are so quick to put out the label of transphobic, homophobic, queerphobic. It doesn't make any sense. Like, if we just go off of biological identity, people even have a hard time now admitting that men are biologically stronger than women. That doesn't make women weak, or like, it doesn't, like, this whole identity of, I don't like this whole war we're creating between both genders, right? You know, F men, we don't need men. You know, men ain't shit. We really don't need a man in the household. It's like, what household are you living in? What? All the people I know who didn't have a man in the household wish that they did, and maybe didn't admit that until much later in their life, but they saw the value in that. I'm not gonna say who. I have a relative who did not grow up with her father. He wasn't, like, just not a great influence, right? And she would say things like, you know, you really don't need a dad in your life. Like, that's not, like, a big deal. You really don't need it. And we were young when she was saying this to me. Like, I was like 14, she was like 13, 12, whatever. And I immediately saw a problem with it. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like, that's not true. Like, you do. Like, there's value in a father. Now, I get it. There are families who are different, right? There are families that come from different makeups, right? You know, single parent homes of single mothers or single fathers, and you may not have that traditional role, but I think, like, if that's not the case, like, if it's not a situation where it's a homosexual relationship, or a situation where the other parent couldn't be there, if you could have had both identities in the household helping to raise you, it would have been a good choice too, right? Like, that's not devalue. I think the overall point here, she was devaluing the impact, the positive impact that a father has. Yes, there are ancient men out there, poor fathers who don't know how to father, but her instantly dismissing the idea of the value of a father, of a dad, it hurt my heart to hear that. And for her to say that at such a young age back then, seeing it now even more, just made me see how much of an influence, a negative influence, the lack of father she had in her life. Anyway, trans women, let's get back to this. You know, it's unfair. It's an unfair balance. And then now we have another situation of another trans woman who broke history after 40 wins in Jeopardy. Her name is Amy Schneider. She is another trans woman. And she definitely looks like one stuff. I don't know her full makeup, if she really committed to it. She cut it off, but she made history. She made history, and she won after 40 wins, and she's going around and just like making it this like hoorah situation. And I'm just thinking, like, okay, and look, let her be that. I get that, but I think, again, this could have been an opportunity for a woman to win, yet this trans woman decided to win it. I sound like I'm a this trans woman took the opportunity from a real woman. I'm serious. I really just feel like sometimes people who are transitioning are doing it for clout. Look, hello, I said it. Some people who are doing it, I feel like they're doing it for clout because prior to them transitioning, they weren't getting enough attention that they wanted. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and commit to transitioning and going the longhorn, the long haul, and getting this win. And going back to Leah Thomas, the trans woman swimmer, she is doing the damn thing because, hello, she is creating an unfair balance. And that really just shows how much of an ain't shit person she is. It really does. Because you couldn't have done it had you deceived others and continued this deception of, I'm really just trying to live life as best as I can to the identity that I want to be in. When it's like, but had you been that shit prior to transitioning, you would have stayed as a man. Let's just cut the shit. Let's cut the shit. When did you feel like you wanted to be a woman? Answer that. Shut up. Like, anyway. And then it reminds me of when Caitlyn Jenner won Woman of the Year. Caitlyn Jenner, who was formerly Bruce Jenner. Yeah, Bruce Jenner. She won Woman of the Year and she won the cover, and the print was so big, Woman of the Year. Huh? Can we appreciate real women? Can we appreciate black women? Can we start there? But like, it's just a slap in the face every time. But she's not, like, just say trans woman of the year. We could say that. That's okay. Like, that doesn't have to be a thing where you're sounding hateful or you're sounding like you want to, go about a march and just capture all these people. No, like, it's okay to just say, hey, trans woman of the year, trans man of the year. But don't try to conflate the two when there's no conflation. You can't mix black women and Asian women and say, well, we're just women. No, we're black women here, we're Asian women here, and that's the difference. That's just what it is. I don't know, child. People don't want to be honest. I think that's about it, y'all. Thank you guys for listening. Again, if you want to sound off on anything that I talked about, please click the link in the show notes where you'll have the link to create your own voice message, which will allow you to create a message audibly for 1 minute. And you can sign off on any topic that I've discussed, or you can share a new topic that you would like for me to discuss on a next episode. So again, thank you for listening, and I will check in with you guys next time. Peace.